Hi everyone, so today we are in the FlightFactor 777 Alpha version 14 and we're going to show you how to make an approach and landing without using VNAV because as we know at the moment the Alpha version does not currently have VNAV implemented. Okay, so we are on the way down to Georgetown where the weather favours runway 6. In fact, I've popped it on the screen there for you, just go ahead and have a look at that. Like we say, runway 6, winds are fairly light, temperatures 33 degrees and a QNH of 1012. So having a look at the navigation display, you can see that there's no waypoint after Atessa, and just have a look down there on the FNC, you can see that there's just 2 waypoints left in the flight plan. So what we're going to do is go down to departures and arrivals. Click of course on arrivals, and I'm just going to choose the ILS approach onto runway 6. There's no available stars and that's absolutely fine for this example. So go back to the legs page, tidy up that discontinuity right, so we're just going to go there, line select CI06 Zulu, pop it into the line with the boxes and that closes that up, and then of course we are going to execute that. So we have got our ATIS, we have installed our approach, and let's have a look at any radnavs that we require. So as I say, ILS approach, so you can see there 109, zoom in, 109.3 with a course of 61 is parked. Just a few more things to do then. We're going to go back to initref, choose approach, and just check that our gross weight there is what we'd expect, so 180 tonnes zero fuel weight, adding on our current fuel of 10.9 tonnes. Gives us that figure there. Let's go with flap 25, and the wind additive then we'll just add on 8 knots to that, so we'll make that 145 knots there with a flap 25 approach. You got a few other tools as well, you know, like you can just cross check here, the runway length is what you'd expect it is from the charts. I've done that, so I'm happy with that. And decision is going to be 288, so we're just going to come down to the, well actually down, we're going to go up to the minimums selector there and just wind in 288, and then we're going to synchronise that onto the first officer side by just using this little click spot here. So before we go and do that, I've popped out the FO's PFD and you can see there the difference. So once we click on this click spot there, you'll see it synchronises that value over. QNH 1012, let's just get rid of the first officer's PFD and come up here and we can just park that in there. If I just set that now and synchronise that and then just go back to standard, synchronise that, and that will be on both sides as well. It's just a way of pre-selecting that. Let's do some range rings as well. So we're 157 track miles now. So down to the fix page, and then we're just going to put in there the ICAO code. But let me just pop that out top left, so we can still keep looking out the window there. Go into keyboard mode, just click onto the LCD there, or the simulated LCD, right? And then we're just going to type in SYCJ. I just like to put in a 25 mile range ring, a 11 mile, and 7, which is normally where I've got gear down, and I'm just about configured. So just get rid of that. Also talking about landing auto brake, that will be 3. Let's come down here and we're just going to move the speed brake lever. In fact, I'm going to do this using my hardware, so just move it back gently until you see speed brake arm there, and you just heard that nice little clunk as it did that as it moved. Now normally you would have the top of descent point there marked out for you, and what we're going to use instead is something called the 3-to-1 rule, which states that for each 1,000 feet of altitude that you need to lose, you need 3 nautical miles. So at flight level 370, multiply that out by 3, 111 nautical miles is our minimum distance. And I say minimum distance because this is not really an exact science. You need to allow for wind speeds, etc. They're very light anyway, so that's not really a consideration. What I'm wanting to do is we'll start down now. I'm probably going to think about using nearer to 4. So what we're going to do is dial in Let's assume that we're cleared down to 220 and we're going to hit level change there. Now what we do need to do is keep an eye on the Mach number, keep an eye on the speed as well. But for now we're just going to call out the modes, thrust, flight level change, speed, and you can see there the throttles retarding backwards. Now do note there, the thing that you're seeing is the ghost throttle, so what it shows is it shows you the position of my hardware. We have gone into thrust at the moment, but I did note that. There we go. So you can see there the ghost throttle, that just shows you where your hardware is. That's of course useful when you want to take over the throttles manually. Now we are diving down at the moment 4,800 feet per minute, so what we are going to do is I'm going to go into selected indicated airspeed now, so 296. I've got hold, which means that the throttles have come all the way back and they've declutched, so I can now go ahead and move those if I wanted to do so. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is just come back to we'll do a 280 knot descent. So what will it do now? It's going to lift the nose up and it's just going to start to lose that 20 knots there of excess speed that we built up. So it's just pulling that back up there. You see the speed trend vector on the PFD is just indicating that we are decelerating, and as it nears that you'll see that we'll resume our descent. So what we need to be doing is having this 3 to 1 going around in our mind all the time. Because you know, even if we'd got the VNAV indication on there, the moment ATC starts getting you to do something different, well, you might not have time to tidy up your, you know, say if they get you to go direct to a waypoint, etc. You might not have time to start tidying up everything that's on the legs page, etc. You've just got to do it and resort to other methods if you can. Now, another method that you can use, and I was told this, I won't take any credit for it, but it's really useful. It's staring at us in the face, as it were. So how about, you know, when I've spoke about 3 to 1, so right now 31 times by 3 would give us 93, wouldn't it? How about we pop on this little switch here, meters. This gives us our height there in meters, doesn't it? So at the moment we are 9.3 kilometers in the air. Remember when I said we're going to multiply it out, see what we get. So if you don't want to do the maths, folks, we've just made it even easier there. Just pop on the meter switch and just read off the first digits there. So you can see, let's just zoom right in on it. So as we approach flight level 250, we're going to do our 3 to 1 again. 3 times 25 is 75 miles. That again is the absolute minimum that you want to be. Where are we now? We are 76 miles there. That's what it's telling us that we need. So you can see we've found a nice little shortcut there. How am I feeling so far about this? Well, let's have a look at the track miles. 89 to go, 74 needed, so we've kind of bought ourselves a bit of extra mileage. That's fine, that's absolutely fine. What my experience of the triple is it does get a bit slippery, kind of as we go below flight level 100, so we do need those extra miles. Absolutely no concerns so far. What we're going to do is just dial in though a lower altitude there. Let's go down to flight level 100 and I'll see you down there. So what I was going to mention, if you do find yourself thinking that you are getting a bit high, and I will do a video on this when we get a working VNAV, what other tools have you got? You've got the speed brake. Now, if you're listening to someone who's telling you that you can't use a speed brake, sack them. What? Okay? Because you can use it. It's there. What's your alternative? Do you want to do a 360? Think how much money that might cost you. So yeah, that is what it's there for. You know, there is a caveat. If you are always late for your descent and you're constantly relying on the speed brake, well then maybe you need to rethink your overall calculations. But that is there to help you, especially when ATC starts giving you some interesting situations as well. So just before we get down then to flight level 100, folks, just looking there at passing through WAD 6. flight level 160. That would give us, what, 48 nautical miles? So again, you can see there, we're just going to read the first two digits. That's 50 nautical miles. We've got 64 track miles. So again, that is feeling absolutely fine. Now there's one big adjustment, or there's one adjustment that you will need to possibly make. Let's say we're landing at Denver, which I think is 5,000 feet above sea level. So if you're at flight level 370 and you're coming down to Denver, well, you haven't got to drop 37,000 feet, have you? You've only got to drop 32,000 feet. So just bear in mind that as well. A working VNAV system will factor all that in for you, but that's just while we're doing this, while we're doing these calculations on the fly in our head. Okay, so coming then down to flight level 100, let's go down to, or we'll set 5,000 feet. And we're going to bring the speed back now to 250 knots. I'm going to use vertical speed. And the first thing I'm going to do is just come back there to 250 knots. And then now we're going to shallow that rate of descent off there. So we'll probably just go with 400 feet per minute. You can, of course, use level change or remain in level change, and it will do that for you. Just wanted to point out something else here that you probably never noticed, and that is on the vertical part there of your primary flight display. You see you've now got the magenta little indicator there, and that's just indicating where your vertical speed is relative to what you've set up here. But of course, that's only going to display in vertical speed mode. Okay, so we're coming through 265 knots. Let's now select 240. Actually, we'll just we will select 240 knots. So just to mention now then, so doing the maths, well, 10 times 3, 30. Have a look at how many meters you've got there. 3,000. We only read the first two digits. 32 miles needed. 42 we've got. So that feels good for me. We've bought ourselves a few more miles. Let's now hit level change. What I don't want to do is have the throttles come forward like they've just started to do. I don't want to add power. What's our most economical descent path? It's to do an idle descent. So 20 nautical miles set that side. Forgive me, I am just setting the ranges there. Got the terrain radar on actually on my side, or rather I have now. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. So 39 now, 39 track miles. So I just want to make sure that we don't get too high here. How is this looking now then? So 7 miles, we know that we're going to need 21 miles as a minimum. And we've got 31 track miles there, so kind of that miles that I was talking about, you know, that credit as I referred to it, it's reducing. That's what we'd expect as we get lower anyway, but I don't want this to suddenly creep away with us. Don't want to get too high. Now, what other tools can we use as well to actually tell us when we are going to level off? So here, see this little green arc? That's what I refer to as the green banana. So this is showing us now, I've selected 3,000 feet there. That's showing the point that we'd be level at 3,000 feet. Now, I do want to be level and down to the clean speed as well by the point that we get there, because at that point we've only got 11 miles to go as well. You can just see there that that is just moving sort of forwards and backwards, just as the vertical speed changes slightly. So you can see the identity here of the ILS. It's showing we've got 14.2 miles there. Track miles 16. So what I'm now going to do is go vertical speed, wind the speed down to the clean speed, and I'm just going to select something like 300 feet there per minute, just to shallow that out, and now give us the now's the time that I want to be slowing down. So 15 track miles, need 12, so haven't really got any margin left now. I don't want the auto throttles there to apply any power, it's just sort of bouncing around there. What I'm now going to do is take flap 1. and we'll arm the localizer. So you can now see that the glide slope is moving down. We're going to bring the speed down to the flap 1 speed there. 191 knots. Localizer. And glide slope's falling down there, so let's now take flaps 5 and just there getting a bit of ballooning going off, reducing the speed down. So that once we intercept the glide slope as well, so there's glide slope. You can see the speed there. It's not too much of an issue, it's just diving momentarily, that will right itself. There's a runway in sight.
Descent checklist.
We did do that.
Checked.
We did all of that, I just forgot to show you that.
Approach checklist.
Altimeters are set 10. I
Set.
didn't
Checklist complete.
synchronise them, so let's just do that manually. And going to now take flap 10, get some, give us a bit of drag, and take gear down. Speed brakes armed. Let's just bring up the landing page. So speed brakes armed, landing is down, flaps are not yet set. Come in though now down to the flap 15 speed. So that's looking fine. Let's go with the landing lights on as well. Forgive me on this, it's when you record a video, it's easy to get focused on the topic. Sometimes I miss a few things, but flying is going well so far. That planning is going well. What did we say? 145, didn't we? That's our final speed. So I'm just going to set that there. I'm going to take flap 20. I'm going to move the throttles forward now. Disconnect the auto throttle. Cancel that alert. Just make sure my throttles there are moving in line. There they go. Don't know if you saw that, they both didn't want to move there at the same time. Okay, flap 25.
Set. Checklist complete.
Approaching 6.
Okay, so I'm going to add quite a bit of power there. We are getting a bit below the glide. Let's go up to 65% M1. That's fine. I don't want to get too nose high. That's the autopilot disconnected. So we'll just start to reduce this speed here. See that we have got ourselves a bit high.
400.
So I'm going to come down to 55% N1.
Approaching minimum.
Checked.
300.
Below 50s now is what we need.
Minimums 200.
Continue. See how the runway kind of goes uphill as well.
100.
So what I don't want to do is land right at the bottom there of that hill.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
It's a bit like Santorini. Okay, so we've got speed brakes. Auto brake is doing its thing. Reverse thrust. There we go.
2,000 feet remaining.
Just stow the reverse. Okay, there we go. 2 hours and 53 minutes. We won't focus on parking the aircraft. So I hope that's been beneficial. We will take a look at VNAV in future videos. But until then, thanks very much for viewing. Do like, subscribe, and let me know what else you'd like to see covered on the channel. Until then, take care. Bye bye.